And good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Watkins, Glen International, where we have a special treat for you here tonight. Something that you're not going to want to miss. It's the second round of the Kickin the Tire lower half dash live on STN. I'm Blake McCandless. I'm joined alongside Justin Prince. Which, first off, Justin, you covered your first eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series race earlier this week, so got to say congratulations to you on the nod for that. But something totally different here. Lucas Oil Off-Road Racing Trucks going to be tackling Watkins Glen. A little bit different than what you had at Richmond earlier this week.
That's an understatement and a half, so to speak. This is going to be one of the more interesting races I think either of us have ever called, because these trucks are very wild when it comes to racing at these types of racetracks. They put in quick lap times around the 126s to 127s. We might see some very wacky stuff tonight on the circuit.
No doubt it's going to be something new for us. It's going to be something new for the drivers. Of course, we have quite the list for us, including some of the best in the terms of NASCAR media, the NASCAR Xfinity Series, NASCAR Cup Series out here wheeling it around Watkins Glen, so something that they've been practicing on for about the last 40 minutes. Of course, last week we covered our first round, and it was different cars, different tracks. We were all the way up in Eldora with dirt street stocks. It was Tanner Berryhill who took down the win. He currently has the points lead. He was fast in practice here as we took a big swing at this, moved all the way to the road course, obviously here at Watkins Glen. And I think the one thing we're going to have to watch for, Justin, is these guys completing their qualifying laps as we speak, trying to put their fastest times down right now, is that obviously these trucks, they're meant to drive on asphalt, they're meant to drive on dirt, so there's a lot of wiggle room that these guys are going to have when going around this road course that you typically wouldn't see on the Cup configuration.
Yeah, absolutely. Very different in terms of what we will probably see in terms of road course racing with these machines tonight. Some drivers have been testing the limits, so to speak, in where you can run. They have been warned to manage their track limits, especially in turn one and parts of the S's. But overall, these machines, there's been a lot of cases where we've seen stuff you usually don't expect to see. Bump drafting down the back straightaway, heading into the inner loop. We've seen drivers go side by side throughout entire sections of the racetrack in practice. It's going to be very curious and very interesting for not just both of us, but for our fans to see who's going to be able to come away with the checker flag tonight, especially since they're going to have a lot of grip to also slide around. Very cool track tonight.
And that's certainly the case. Very cloudy, mostly cloudy here in the session. 86 degrees is the temperature outside right now. The track temperature at 94. And the one thing that is going on here in qualifying is something that we didn't see in practice. Obviously, with these trucks, as we were just talking about, you have a little bit of runway, so to speak, a little bit of leniency. Maybe you get a couple tires off into the grass here around the Armco barrier here at Watkins Glen. No harm, no foul. However, here at iRacing, you get those two tires off. That's an incident point. It won't count your laps. So although we saw plenty of drivers hit the 126 mark in practice, going to be really hard pressed to see if somebody can do that here in qualifying without that little bit of an added advantage you can get by barely playing around and cutting some of these corners.
Absolutely. So many of these drivers were warned about that beforehand. There's not too much time, mind you, either, to get in your 2 laps. Just 5 minutes was set for these drivers for sole qualifying. We're down to the final 20 seconds. Already the lap times are very near identical in some of the cases, but there have been some dominant drivers in the test race as well as in practice who are up at the top of the board at the moment. Chase Cabry, Matt DiBenedetto, both showing up in queue.
He certainly has as well. One driver that was fast in qualifying, or practice rather, and has shown up in qualifying is Brad Perez. He'll finish up in third. And a couple of drivers don't make their qualifying lap. You have to believe that may be the case where maybe they ran off track in this 5-minute 2-lap session. They weren't able to complete one, but we'll go ahead and move forward. We have 2 heats set for you here. Of course, everyone transferring on to the main event, so more or less just a qualifying race here to really set things up for our final grid. It'll be 2 quick 3-lap heats, and this is how the lineup will look for heat number 1. It'll be Chase Cabry and Brad Perez in the front row. Tanner Berryhill, our points leader, coming in tonight. He'll start from the inside of row number 2. To his outside will be Garrett Smithley. Colin Fern will roll off 5th. It'll be Bailey Curry in 6th. Joshua Altis rolling off 7th. Justin Malillo, he wanted us to give some love to the lower half of the lower half dash. He's starting in the lower half of this field in 8th. Matthew Lady in 9th, and then David Kriske will round out the top 10. Eric Howard in 11th. Justin Schuler in 12th, and Stephen Ellis in 13th. So again, Justin, I think this is a great preview of what we'll see. We won't see any caution flags, but also something different here. We're going to get a rolling start, or rather a stationary start.
Yes.
Here, these guys will roll off, countdown, and they'll just take off here on the front stretch.
Yes, and it was something that was interesting to see in the practice race, to try and get as good of a launch as you could. It does take a little bit of time to get up to speed in these machines. It's going to be fun, though, to see how they battle. Just 3 laps to decide how they will start for the feature tonight. I think we're just about all set to rev those engines.
Certainly so. These guys up there getting ready to start here at the starting grid. A couple of guys already revving them up. We'll see the green flag come out, and as Justin just mentioned, a bit of a slow launch for these guys. A couple of guys, looks like they may have missed the start. It was Eric Howard and Stephen Ellis. They get caught off guard, but oh, here they go. Powering into turn number 1 for the first time. Cabry will lead them. Perez is able to get away, and here's a side-by-side battle for third. Berryhill, and right beside him is Garrett Smithley.
Smithley trying to drift his way through the S's, really swinging the right side of the truck, still trying to defend in the SpongeBob machine. Able to finally get into a good rhythm, though. He was one of the quickest drivers in practice. He was the man who actually recommended this format for tonight. Here's the thing, though, with these trucks, you can get a good pull into the bus stop, and that's what we're seeing. Berryhill, though, hits the brake hard.
And Berryhill thought better of it. That's allowing the 53 of Bailey Curry to try and move his way up in that Dale Earnhardt-inspired scheme. This is going to be one of the more interesting places in the track, Justin, is that carousel. Because of all the speed you're carrying, some guys using that handbrake, some guys lifting completely. You can't quite keep the power all the way down through the carousel right there, and they'll work it into 6 and 7 now this time, all single file, all chasing our race leader in Chase Cabry.
And right now, Cabry is in a great rhythm to start this race, already up by 3-4 truck lengths in front of second spot. Perez, give him a shout out for holding good track position. Still 2 laps to go. As the fight is on, though, for 5th on back, Colin Fern is starting to push.
Well, and Fern going to look to the inside here as they enter turn number 1. Here comes Joshua Altis, who will try to make a battle of it. He slides and will not get the momentum off, so give it to Bailey Curry, who's able to make his way by. That's 5th in Fern, 6th in Curry, 7th in Joshua Altis, as they're nearly bumper to bumper here as they move up the S's. Altis a little loose there through the S's. Here comes Curry, and like you said, Justin, this draft down into the bus stop. What will Curry do?
It's going to be interesting. Already the major defensive line, trying to keep good track position. Curry trying to sweep in extra a little bit. Drifting his way through the inner loop this time. Trying to force a mistake is what it's looking like he's trying to do. Just can't force Fern up the racetrack. Fern taking the middle line, though. Curry trying to put 2 tires in the grass out of the carousel.
And Curry tried to make a move there, but however, that's going to open it up for Joshua Altis to try to make a move here. He'll look to the low side in turn 6. Well, they make contact. Altis to the inside. He'll be given a little room there, and now the preferred line goes to Curry for turn 7. We'll get the white flag this time. Curry in the preferred lane. Does he get the dig off the corner? He's able to clear the 94. They'll take the white flag to the stripe this time. Battle for 6th is still on as they're strung out front. Cabry has the lead as they enter 1 for the final time.
Top 4 right now single file. The dive for Curry, though, able to hold off Altis. Altis able to save it after near contact. Coming through turn number 1. Rest of the field continues to cycle their way ahead, though. It is Cabri in first, coming out of the S's. Perez second, Smithley in third, Berryhill in fourth. Keep an eye on second, heading to the inner loop. Smithley with a run.
And what will Garrett Smithley do is Brad Perez, he'll shut the door on him. He runs Miatas and has raced a couple of times at Homestead, Miami. He shuts the door here on Smithley as they head into the inner loop for the final time. Smithley all 4 tires off, but of course in these trucks, really not worse for the wear. We'll see if Perez or Smithley can get the momentum here out of the carousel. It looks like Smithley drifting. They'll be even off, and now Cabri able to pull away. He's got about a 2 or 3 truck length advantage as they head into 6 and 7 for the last time.
Final corners for Chase Cabri, one of the quickest drivers throughout his preparation tonight. The Space Station Gaming Machine coming off the final corner. He'll come away with the victory in heat race number 1 and give himself prime track position for tonight's feature race. Second spot, Brad Perez. Third, sees Smithley hit the wall, slides around, but still gets third anyway. What a finish as Berryhill comes home in 4th.
Well, and that wasn't easy there for Smithley at the line. It wasn't easy off of turn number 6 either as Smithley overran his exit. Berryhill was to the outside as they entered 7. Contact made as Smithley threw it into 7. And of course you see right there, an evasive move there from Smithley to try and shut off that draft. He nearly jumped that race truck as he hit the inside retaining wall with his right side tires. That jumped that truck up into the air, so he brings it home 3rd. Berryhill in 4th. Bailey Curry rounds out the top 5. Colin Fern in 6th. Joshua Altis 7th. Matt Lady in 8th, Justin Malillo 9th, and then David Kriske will round out your top 10. So only 3 laps for these heats. Not much of a change here in the grid. These guys are already ready to roll here. Matt DiBenedetto will lead them, and the green flag already out to start heat number 2.
Very quick start for these drivers. Matt DiBenedetto showing great confidence already early on in this stacked field for heat race number 2. He'll try and defend Jared Overstreet and Cody Ware as Ware pushes the second place starter up the track. Move Cody Ware already to second for the S's.
And a move back there for 4th as well. Give it to Ryan Ellis, who made the inside move on Nick Olson. Olson thinks better of it. He'll back off as they work it up through the S's. Big challenge for the lead could be brewing here. Cody Ware trying to get the draft off of the DiBenedetto machine. DiBenedetto goes low. Ware has the run. Is there going to be contact made? Oh, DiBenedetto gets a shot from Ware as they head into the bus stop. DiBenedetto cuts through in the grass, and now Ware looking for the inside. He'll get into the 21 once again in the carousel.
Overstreet also into the fence in the backdrop. He'll go to the back end of the field, who just got ran over by Matt Mills and Paul Sutton. Harley is also still in trouble. Herschel is stuck on his side in the tires. Rest of the field continues to cycle through. DiBenedetto getting a bump from Cody Ware heading to the final sections of the racetrack. Coming to 2 laps to go as they fight for the lead.
Hard to look away from this battle for the lead. It's Matt DiBenedetto. It's Cody Ware. 2 drivers formerly in the NASCAR Cup Series, and of course DiBenedetto's still there. They'll work it down the front straightaway, and here you see DiBenedetto snaking, trying to defend that inside line, but Ware with the draft down the front straight. They'll make contact. Ware looks to the outside. He'll look for the crossover, give a shot to the 21, but Matt has it off the corner.
Matt DiBenedetto still playing tough defense. Those drivers go to the S's while Ryan Ellis jumps his way to 3rd in the backdrop. Nick Olson lets him get the space as there's contact in the middle of the S's between Ford Modern and Noah Lewis. Everybody is fighting. The question's going to be, will the fight continue for the lead in the inner loop?
Right now, they sorted out. DiBenedetto has a truck length advantage that sees itself dwindle down to about nothing as they head into the bus stop once again. Again, of course, about 1.5 laps remaining. One car, Casey Herschel, is still sitting over there in the sand trap in the bus stop. Ware trying to put the throttle down here through the carousel, trying to chase Matt DiBenedetto, but it's all 21 here off the corner. Still a battle close there for 3rd and 4th between Ellis and Olson. Ellis getting the better end of that, but right now it's all Matty D.
Matt DiBenedetto already showing that great speed and great potential to come away with the checker flag in the feature tonight. Getting the white flag this time by, the question's going to be, will Ware be able to close back on in? Down the front straightaway, DiBenedetto clips the tire barrier. Ware tries to get the slipstream. DiBenedetto tries to break the toe down the straightaway. Back into turn one, they'll drift once more.
And into turn one for the final time. We'll see how aggressive that Cody Ware is willing to get in the best battle on the racetrack now for that top spot. Cody Ware right in the tire tracks of Matt DiBenedetto as they'll work it up the S's. And this is where Ware wants his launch to get all that draft nearly into the Armco barrier on the right side. You can see he's early in the throttle. Can Ware get a run here as Matt will try to break the draft?
Heading towards the inner loop one final time in heat race number 2. Ware with the later break shifts down to second. They drift their way through the inner loop. DiBenedetto with the better launch off. Back to the carousel for one final time. Ware trying to diamond the corner to set up the run.
But is it going to be enough as Ware will kick that truck out just a little bit? They'll be even off the corner. He may get a little bit of draft right now, but is still a truck length lead. The driver of that 21 Ford out front. They'll work it into 6 for the final time. Smooth and steady for the driver of the 21. He'll work it into 7 as they're single wide all the way back from 4th behind him. But it's going to be for heat number 2. It's going to be Matt DiBenedetto holding off Cody Ware. He'll take down the win with Ryan Ellis, Nick Olson, and this battle for 5th a little ways on back. But it's going to be Nick Payne who rounds out the top 5.
What a race for these drivers. Ford Martin, though, able to get to 6th in the final lap. Noah Lewis finishes in 7th. Overstreet, Eggert, Mills rounds out the top 9. Check that top 10 with Holly coming home in 11th. Sutton comes home 12th. And Herschel, you seen him fall one lap down after being on his side at one point. On the bright side, he got on 4 tires to take the checker flag down the front straightaway to prepare for tonight's feature.
And tonight's feature, and of course this entire event being brought to you by Kicking the Tires, started by Jerry Jordan in 2000. Kicking the Tires is a multi-platform motorsports media outlet primarily focused on NASCAR, but also covering AMA Supercross, the IMSA Sports Cars, NT&T IndyCar Series, local short track events, and major one-off racing events for other genres as well. You can stay informed and up to date on what happens in and around the garage by visiting the best place for it, kickinthetires.net. We also want to thank Universal Coin for jumping on and being a presenting sponsor for the championship that's being run. We'll have to mention that later, though. We're gridding up, and of course, these guys, they don't take the customary pace lap. They'll get started off here real quick. It'll be Cabri DiBenedetto, Brad Perez, Cody Ware, Smithley, Ellis, Berryhill, Olson, Curry, and Nick Payne rounding out the top 10. Fern in 11th, Martin 12th, Alstis 13th, Noah Lewis 14th, Lady 15th, Overstreet 16th, Malillo 17th, Eggert 18th, Krisky in 19th, Mills in 20th. And that's how they'll start. The green flag will fly. Already racing 25 laps, ready to get underway here from WGI. And oh, here comes a run for the 21 as it's going to be a huge stack of cars. Perez looking 3 wide into turn 1.
Everyone bumping and banging their side doors throughout the corner. Everybody makes it through safely, even though it's 3-4 wide. But the pressure's already on for the front. Cabri already getting a shot from Matt DiBenedetto. They drift their way through the S's for the first time for 25 circuits. Question's going to be, how long will Cabri be able to defend this time? Another shot down the straight.
Another shot. Here comes DiBenedetto to the inside. He has a hungry Brad Perez directly behind them. Is 2 wide going to work in the bus stop? It works for the driver of 21. Just won his heat. He moves up to the top spot now. Move to Benedetto to the lead. Contact for the battle for second as Cabri and Perez lead on each other through the carousel. 38-18 is how they stack up for second. Here comes Smithley looking to almost go 3 wide.
Smithley trying to find a hole as Cabri tries to defend 2 lanes at once. Takes the bottom side. Perez nearly overruns the corner. He drifts his way to the preferred line for the final turn on the first lap. Gets himself back single file as Smithley gets moved out of the way by Cody Ware. Here comes Ryan Ellis, though, to join the fun down the straightaway.
It's Ellis trying to get in this party as well. You don't want to forget about a couple of trucks behind them, and Terry Vanderhill, our points leader. Here they working into turn one. Smithley on the back of Brad Perez. He'll overshoot, and actually not an overshoot. You almost want to take that exit into the grass to keep up your momentum, set yourself up better for the S's. It's one of the benefits of this truck. So it'll be DiBenedetto, Cabri, Perez, Smithley, and Ware your top five as they'll work it through the S's. Contact made with the Armco barrier in the battle for sixth. That's Ryan Ellis, who was slammed on by Tanner Berryhill. Now Berryhill looking to the bottom of Cody Ware in the bus stop.
Berryhill thought about it, decides to back off, though, on the run up to the inner loop. Back to the carousel they go. Back to the bumper goes Ryan Ellis. He tries to poke underneath on the right side. Forces a mistake from the 17. Make it side by side as the doorbane. Berryhill gets loose. Able to save it, but loses the spot.
And Ryan Ellis, that's exactly what you're going to see throughout the night, that these trucks can lean on each other and provide some of the best racing you'll see. Of course, damage is turned off, so any contact made with each other or those powder blue Armco barriers here at Watkins Glen International will not breed repercussions for these trucks. They'll keep it going. We'll complete lap number 2, and oh, here comes Cabri back to the rear of DiBenedetto as they work it into one. Matt Chase. That's how they run through turn 1. Perez still looking to pull into that battle.
Everyone's still trying to keep themselves in good rhythm with their battles. Coming to 22 laps to go this time by. Cabri with the good run to the S's. Hitting the max third gear once again towards the top of the hillside. Max speed 130. Sends his max speed up the hillside to the back bumper of DiBenedetto. Bump draft once again. Will Matt DiBenedetto be able to send it properly into the corner? Yes. Cabri gives him the space in the inner loop. The question's going to be, can Cabri force a mistake and retake the lead?
That's the question you have to think about, that as these two trucks have pulled away, the last thing you want to do is commence a battle that is unsuccessful and allows Brad Perez, Garrett Smithley, and perhaps Cody Ware to even become a battle for this lead, as it's hard for the leader to pull away. You have to be smart about when you choose to try and pass, and right now that's exactly what Chase Cabri is doing in that 18 machine, as DiBenedetto and Cabri will work it off here into turn 7. They'll bring it forward here to lap number 4. Again, 25 to complete the Kickin the Tires lower half dash here at Watkins Glen International. It's Perez, it's Smithley, who has now creeped a little bit forward, calling about a truck length, and flatten that as they head into one. Smithley all over the rear of Perez.
This time, though, he loses a lot of time coming out of turn number 1. He drifts his way once again to the S's. These drivers fought very hard as the race progressed in their practice attempt last night. The question's going to be, will they show that same consistency tonight? Up in front of them, though, side by side, Cabri got to the right rear of DiBenedetto, but backed off, back to single file.
One truck around in turn 1, it's Casey Herschel who's able to escape from that, but he'll be losing a couple of spots. Again, some drivers back in the field. There's nearly a 15 to 20 second gap. You look all the way back there to 15th, a little bit of contact happening amongst the back half, the lower half, if you will, of this Kickin the Tires lower half dash. But right now, we look our eyes forward to that battle in the top 3. Brad Perez starting to become a part of this battle for the lead, as Cabri still patiently looking for a way around DiBenedetto.
Question is, can the patience continue to pay off? Perez now tries to close in his beautiful pink and black machine. He looks to dance his way into the top 2 conversation. This time buying in terms of pace, Perez was the quickest out of the 3. Half a second gain last time by on Cabri and DiBenedetto. Cabri with the best run coming off of turn 1 to the S's. They roll once again. This time Cabri clips the left side tires on the grass, heading up the hillside.
And Cabri still running all over the back of DiBenedetto. You see an onboard shot right there. Can he make a move around? DiBenedetto going to make that truck 3-4 lanes wide here as Cabri. Will he make a move here in the bus stop? I think he's just content to push him for now, as Perez now under a truck length behind the 18 as they work it into the bus stop. Move Garrett Smithley. He's creeping up on our leaders as well. And oh, don't forget, there's a pretty hefty battle going on right now for that 5th spot as Berry Hill emerges from that. But Ware and Ryan Ellis looking to the bottom side. Don't forget about Curry either.
Yeah, that battle just been keeping a second eyeball on that grouping of drivers has been absolutely bonkers for about 5th on back. Berry Hill at one point was the back end of the train. Now he leads that second group of drivers. Cody Ware is in 6th overall. Ryan Ellis 7th overall. Bailey Curry, because of how far and how much they've been fighting.
Oh, here they go for the lead. Contact made. Chase Cabri is shoved up. Hits the door. DiBenedetto. Now Brad Perez looking for the lead. DiBenedetto throws the block down the front straightaway, moved the 38 up into the 2nd spot as DiBenedetto had to fend off a charge from Chase Cabri, who finally had enough behind him. Now Cabri gets a little bit of contact from Garrett Smithley. Top 4 under a blanket as they work into the S's. DiBenedetto, Perez, Cabri, Smithley.
And just when you think the lead settles down for just a moment, it picks right arm back up. Now Perez looks to try and take the lead from DiBenedetto. Has a great run, gives him a shot down the back straightaway. Pokes his nose to the right side. We go for a dive early in this race in the inner loop. No, instead he nearly clips the Armco barrier. Still drifting his way through as Cabri looks to try and take his 2nd position back behind him.
Cabri looking to get back into the number 2 spot. Perez looking for an opening, but DiBenedetto has been solid up to this point. And now the run is given to Chase Cabri. Cabri down the back stretch. Will he have a run here? He'll give some draft to Perez. Perez will make contact with DiBenedetto, and Perez will surrender the 2nd spot to Chase Cabri. Right before Garrett Smithley wants a part of 3rd. Smithley will look to the inside of Perez. They'll make contact here in turn 7. Smithley shoving the back of Perez. Perez will hang on.
Smithley runs his way into the grass off the final corner once more. They continue to shuffle around. 19 now laps to go in the field as Cabri looks to dive to the inside in turn 1. DiBenedetto gives him the space, and Cabri retakes the point in the 18 machine. The question's going to be, how long will it be as DiBenedetto gets back single file? Perez gives him space, and Smithley rides the back bumper of Perez.
New leader up through the S's, but don't think that 21 is going to give up just yet. Nearly into the Armco barrier as they work their way through the S's. You have a leader fending off DiBenedetto, and that battle for 3rd as well. DiBenedetto's in the grass looking for a way around Cabri. Cabri will concede it, given a spot. DiBenedetto thinks better of it. He'll have to lift there through the bus stop. And DiBenedetto all the way into the grass. He'll give a shot to the right rear corner of the 18. Here comes Cabri. DiBenedetto gives him the door. Shoves him up high. Here comes Brad Perez looking for 2nd.
What a bonkers race for the lead so far. DiBenedetto now holds on. Cabri gets clear. Now he goes to the right side of DiBenedetto. Heading off to the 2nd to last corner of the track. Gives a shot with the left side. DiBenedetto slides up. Cabri rides his right rear, slides into the grass. Perez drives on by. Smithley's now side by side for 3rd.
And Smithley going to get a piece of the door. That's going to shove him into the tire barrier on the exit of 4. Smithley loses all that time. But here comes Brad Perez. DiBenedetto will somehow lead it back across the stripe. And caution flag displayed on the speedway for the first time this evening as things were wild up there at the front of the field. Caution flag displayed. A competition yellow being thrown, as now Smithley will exit the server, and so Smithley is out of this thing. So Garrett Smithley, after being shoved there by Chase Cabri, he'll think better of it. We mentioned that he was largely responsible for bringing us this track and setup combo. Things were just getting good. Caution flag flies. There goes Garrett Smithley, I guess, in an early exit and manual retirement from this race.
It was discussed by some of the drivers, actually, that there was going to be a competition yell at lap number 8 a few laps ago, was informed to the drivers. So now it's going to be interesting how they'll reset things here on the circuit tonight. Some of the biggest movers, though, guys like Shore, inside the top 10 now, plus 11 in the field. Others have moved up 6+ spots from the drop of the green flag, Blake.
And there's several drivers that have made their way forward, perhaps none more than Jarrett Overstreet. Started back in 16th and has worked his way up to 9th. But let's go ahead and give you a full leaderboard rundown here. Matt DiBenedetto holds the lead as he has for most of this race. It's Brad Perez in second, Chase Cabry in third. We'll have to refresh as now it's Tanner Berryhill who has scored in the fourth spot. Bailey Curry in fifth, Ryan Ellis in sixth. Cody Ware has fallen back to seventh from his top starting spot. Jarrett Overstreet in eighth, Colin Fern in ninth, and Ford Martin in 10th. Justin Schuler 11th, Noah Lewis in 12th. Nick Payne in 13th, David Kriske 14th, Justin Malillo 15th, Joshua Altus in 16th, Andrew Hawley in 17th, my former co-worker at Victory Lane Karting, and Matt Mills in 18th, Matt Lady in 19th, 20th is Stephen Ellis, 21st Seth Egger, 22nd is Olson, 23rd Paul Sutton, 24th Casey Heschel, 25th Eric Howard, and 26th is Austin Kimbrell.
Such a competitive field, to say the very least, in today's competition, in today's event here, but you have to remember that sponsors such as Universal Gold and Bulletin, one of the presenting sponsors of the Kicking the Tires Lower Half Dash Series, is sponsoring the prize that will be awarded to the overall points champion of the series. The Lower Half Dash Series titleist will receive a 1/10 ounce $5 certified gold coin with a holder included that is hand-signed by Mikey Tucker Frost, the designer of the Family of Eagles, on the back of all U.S. Gold Eagle bullion coins. For more information on Universal Coin and Bullion, visit universalcoin.com. You have to give them credit for that championship prize. Already these drivers fighting for points. There is a drop week for that championship throughout the season.
Well, and a couple of drivers already will have to rely on that early. We talk about Landon Castle, who came into tonight second in points. He takes the drop week this week. Josh Balicki, he also doesn't. He was tied for third in points with Bailey Curry, up there with 48 points in the third spot. So Balicki has that drop week. You see Curry Smithley, obviously he has retired from this event, so not going to be a good points day for him. Cody Ware up in the sixth spot. Brad Perez having a solid day after starting eighth in points. And of course, this is only after 1 week, so these guys obviously get bonus points. As now we're going to see these guys pull onto pit road. Going to be interesting to see what happens here. These guys, Alexa, what you think about taking tires and all that? You know, I'm not as familiar with these Lucas Oil off-road trucks, but I'm sure that you can come on and get these tires, and we'll have to see, because if I'm not mistaken, Justin, I believe that tires don't change quickly in these trucks.
No, they don't change quickly. The main focus for these competitors is most likely going to be the fuel to make sure they can run the next stint of laps. So wouldn't be surprised if most of these drivers elect to just take fuel. A couple actually are electing to take tires and sacrifice major track position. Matt DiBenedetto amongst the first drivers out. Chase Cabry does lead them off the pit lane. Olson and Fern did not pit, though, in that cycle.
No, they didn't. And that's a very interesting call. And of course, you talk about that points are coming into play here. You do get a bonus point for leading a lap. So perhaps Nick Olson, who had fallen back into about outside the top 20, thinking about a strategy play here, he'll come down, maybe lead a lap at the front of the field, because I think I'm like you, Justin. I don't think he has enough fuel in that race truck to get him to the end, but I suppose when you're all the way back there, you're going to have to make the march forward anyway. You know, I've seen this a lot in sim racing. Why not just stay out, get that lap led, come back, and obviously you don't have to worry about track position. You can get your tires, get your fuel, and then get going.
Yeah, absolutely. Here, you have to think about this, though. Some drivers did have the option, potentially, if I'm seeing things correctly, to maybe duck down the first time around behind the pace car. Others waited until the other time around the circuit. And that does risk a penalty if you come in with the pits closed, so that might be a factor for some of these drivers. Colin Fern's already dropping down the pylon, for example. Took a 25-second pit stop on the racetrack. Chase Cabry also dropping down the pylon after the service.
And apparently a penalty being assessed to Chase Cabry. Think it may have been speeding on pit road, and Chase Cabry will be assessed an end of longest line penalty, and that's a huge blow for a driver that had the speed to run up front, and now he's going to have to spend the back half of this race working all the way through traffic that, as we've seen, you can have that speed, but it can be so hard to pick and choose your passing spots here at Watkins Glen. It's so out of the ordinary. You think about the potential passing spots here at Watkins Glen. You think about maybe the carousel. Obviously 6 and 7 is open with straightaways outside of it, but it's very hard to come by, even with the large draft you get here going into the bus stop. Obviously, if the guy throws the block on you, it's hard to make it work, and you can kind of miss the corner, and you're not really going to be worse for the wear because you can run off the track, get in the grass, and it's not going to slow you down. Interesting call up front. Nick Olsen elects not to come to pit road, so Olsen is going to resume the lead. It'll be DiBenedetto who, instead of getting the pole like we thought as it would cycle through, Nick Olsen makes the strategy call to stay out, and it'll be Olsen that has the race lead.
I'm wondering if Olsen may have had trouble in the early going in this event and had to come down during the green flag run, and that might give him that extra bit of fuel to be able to make it towards the end of the run. So this is a situation where it's going to be interesting for Olsen. We've seen if you have good track position, you can be a contender up towards the front. And now we're going to have to see if Olsen's got the speed to stay up at the front, especially with so many fast competitors going to be lined up just behind him.
Well, you know what? I think he may have pulled a fast one on us. As Nick Olsen, I just went back in the replay, and this driver knew exactly what he was doing. He came down pit road on lap 7, knowing that the competition caution was going to come out. So how about pulling one on the field, on the broadcasters up here? Nick Olsen, of course, he may have, about a lap of more worn tires out there, but how about the strategy call from Nick Olsen? He'll resume the lead. He's full of fuel. He's full of tires. Nice little strategy call there by the driver of the 24.
Absolutely. Just got confirmation from Jerry Jordan from Kickin the Tires as well that Gary Smithley, of course, we've seen him come off the racetrack. He had to, of course, go as part of the preparation for the NASCAR race. He apologized for that as there was a time conflict. But these drivers are ready to get roaring. Green flag is out.
The green flag is out. It'll be Olsen that leads a hard-charging field, single file into turn 1. And oh, here comes the battle for third already. Bailey Curry able to make his way by Tanner Berryhill, who got a little out of shape, overran the entrance to turn 1, moved Berryhill back to 4th, and now DiBenedetto all over the bumper, and Nick Olsen, who honestly didn't put up much of a fight, and now we know why. He wanted the track position. DiBenedetto gonna waste no time, looking to the inside to enter the bus stop.
Side by side for the race lead already. DiBenedetto with the faster run down the straight. Here comes Bailey Curry, though, as he dives it right underneath. DiBenedetto to the lead. Olsen able to defend now for second. Nearly slides off the racetrack, though, as Curry tries to set up for second.
Curry trying to set Olsen up here, as Olsen gonna do Matt DiBenedetto a favor here and hold up this 3 machine, assuming that he's going to hold Curry off for a little bit. Now he'll pull away off the exit of the corner, so Olsen may be DiBenedetto's best friend here. If he can hold off Bailey Curry on those older tires, or newer tires rather, for Curry, they'll stack up behind Olsen. It's Curry who looks to the inside of turn 7, unable to do it. Curry now has to hold off Berryhill, hold off Ryan Ellis, and Ellis into the tire barrier. Here comes Ware to the bottom. Ellis throws the block.
Ellis trying to fight hard to keep the top 5 position. These two fought hard all throughout the race. However, up in front of them, Olsen just got door banged right out of the way out of second spot. He drops quickly to 4th. Ellis and Ware now fighting for the next chance to gain a spot.
Ware trying to see what he can do right there as Berryhill and Curry, they're side by side, leaning on each other here all the way through the S's. Nobody with the advantage. Olsen now pulls up to the back bumper. Does he even think about going 3 wide here? Don't think he's going to do it. He's going to give a shot to the 53, though. Perhaps that car that gave him a shot. And now Ellis is going to dive in on Olsen. Olsen will put it in the left side grass. Ellis has to collect it back up.
Trouble for Ware. Trouble for Cody Ware. He's just been hit multiple times over. Shunted off to the grass. Finally gets it going from 6th. Falls all the way outside the top 15. Nearly got it back going, but Nick Payne sent him off to the grass a second time.
And that'll scatter them for about 7th on back. A couple of drivers able to make their way through. Ford Martin, Noah Lewis, Justin Malillo, Nick Payne, a couple drivers that are able to take advantage of that. As a battle up here for that second spot still brewing. Tanner Hill, he was 4th across the stripe last time. Move him up to 2nd. He's able to make his way by Curry. Ellis to 4th. Olsen now hanging on for 5th. It'll be Justin Schuler. He's a couple of seconds, call it almost 2 on the dot, back of that battle for the top 5.
And they're continuing to scrap, mind you, too, for second position. This time, Berry Hill, defensive line in preferred line. On Bailey Curry as they make their way back up to the S's. This time, Curry dives his way to the left side. Going for the right-hand sweep. Still has a bit more momentum when we go for a cross. Has to baby the throttle. Just gets to the edge of the back bumper. Still electing to be patient, though, in the battle for second position as they stay single file heading back into the air loop.
It'll be single file up there, but there is a heck of a battle going on now for that 7th position as they were side by side through the S's, or 6th rather, with Justin Schuler. He gets a little bit out of shape, and David Kriske, one of those drivers that took those 4 tires, looking to make his way forward. The engineer for Roush is going to have to hold off Ford Martin. What a move there by the 07 off the carousel. Move Martin up, another driver looking to utilize those tires. And oh, by the way, look behind them, a driver that was up front early. Brad Perez is going to get hooked here into turn 6. Perez goes around off the bumper of the number 98 of Noah Lewis.
And Perez really tried to send it heading into that corner and just came right across the nose of the Hardee's machine. But now, the question's going to be, how will the racing fare out for the next 11 plus laps? 10 to go this upcoming time by for the drivers. Benedetto still holds on to a 2.5 second lead. Biggest mover this entire stint, though, Chase Cabry. He's moved his way back into the top 10 and is quickly diving his way for 9th on the back end of Noah Lewis. Lewis defends hard through the S's.
And Lewis doing his best. He'll actually bang doors with the Armco barrier here through the S's. Cabry will look to the inside. He has the momentum. He may very well clear the 98 here into the bus stop. He does. And now Cabry looking to make his moves. He has fresh tires despite some traffic. Maybe the fastest truck on the track, but may not be enough. He nearly was 10.5 seconds back into Benedetto that time. He'll now move his way by Kriske, who gets out of shape there in the carousel. Move Kriske back to 10th, Lewis back to 9th, and Cabry on the march. He's now found 8th.
And Cabry, one of the quickest trucks on the track at the moment. Last time by a 128.4. Benedetto has fallen off to the 127.9s at the moment in terms of pace. But Cabry quickly closing on into his next targets. Schuler and Martin just up the road. Cabry looking to try and dive. While we
and a
have
major
pit
development here. Pit stops ensuing as the 17 machine of Tanner Berryhill. Bailey Curry pulled on the pit road. Nick Olsen did as well. This may be a telling sign, Justin. Do these guys have enough fuel to make it to the end? I think the answer is no, unless maybe you didn't fill it up all the way. You thought you can make it in. So pit stops going to come into play here as they are still putting on a whale of a battle now for position number 3, Martin and Cabry. But how about this, Justin? Fuel strategy coming into play here.
And we've seen that there was that competition, at the start of lap number 8. So these drivers might have to come down to the very minimum one time to fill up on the gas. The question's now going to be, when does everyone else duck down? Still, everyone single fouled out. This has allowed Cabry, though, as the development has happened, to shuffle his way back up into the third position after a successful move through the bus stop. Now, when does he and the main rest of the field go in? He's still 10 seconds back, though, with a bit of Dowdle and Ellis.
And Chase Cabry made one of the most remarkable moves I've ever seen there in the bus stop. He got by two drivers, one on entry, one in the middle of the bus stop. Those four fresh tires that Cabry has, his best friend right now is several of our leaders, our top three. DeBenedetto is on pit road, Ellis as well. It'll be Chase Cabry that comes on now. They'll cycle through. Justin Schuler will now cycle into the lead for a second. Matt Mills will stay out as well. But several drivers on pit road. And oh, here's a caution flag, as this will really shake things up. You have drivers on pit road. You have drivers that stayed out. And those guys that stayed out, Justin, they're in a horrible spot now. As you think about it, Matt Mills, Justin Schuler, they're still going to have to come down pit road, and now that entire pack gets to come up right to the back of them.
At the very least, this means anyone that comes down in the next lap or two can make it to the end of the race. Here's the thought process, though, here, Blake. Obviously, everybody else was aware of that potential possibility of an error caution. Make sure you can make it to the end and don't run out of fuel on this track, because it's a big, massive track. Here's the problem. Some competitors are now in major fuel save mode to make it to the back end of the pace car and try and make sure they can come down to pit. Some of these competitors that stayed out in this sequence, Schuler, Mills, Overstreet, Seth Agert, Stephen Ellis, a couple other drivers all stayed out, while others elected to just take a splash who came down to the pits a lap or two early.
And certainly so, and just in the worst time possible in the middle of green flag stops. Fuel is obviously huge here. 12 gallons is what these trucks can hold. But obviously, you think about how long and how wound up these RPMs are on these trucks. They take a lot of fuel all the way around this long road course that stretches 2.43 miles and 8 turns. So again, just big implications here. We'll have to see how this cycles out, and if the guys like Justin Schuler, Matt Mills are going to elect to stay out as long as they can, or if they're going to cycle back through. Well, again, we don't really know where anybody's running, where anybody's going to pit. It's just a absolute chaos here, Justin, as, again, we continue to run on under the caution flag, 18 of 25, and, of course, we still have at least 2 more laps to run under yellow, so this is just going to set us up for an absolutely wild finish.
It absolutely is at this point, the way things are trending, but you have to remember, this series brought to you by Kickin the Tires. Started by Jerry Jordan in 2000, Kickin the Tires is a multi-platform motorsports media outlet primarily focused on NASCAR, but also covering AMA Supercross, the IMSA Sports Cars, the NTT IndyCar Series, local short track events, and major one-off racing events for other genres as well. Stay informed and up to date on what happens in and around the garage by visiting kickinthetires.net. And so, right now, some of the drivers in this field, remember, are reporters a part of Kickin the Tires. Guys like Seth Agert have quietly been having good runs. We were talking a little bit with him before the start of today's race, in fact, Blake.
We certainly were, and I think the one question we asked him is, what are you expecting out of this? Well, he said, guess what? Expect the unexpected, and that's certainly what we've been treated to this afternoon here at Watkins Glen International. And Justin Schuler has actually made it known to his crew. We got a little bit of transmission over the radio that Schuler is going to stay out here. Matt Mills, I imagine, will do the same as well. They're going to try to go the distance on that one pit stop. Oh, here comes Mills looking to make the trek on a pit road. And oh, Schuler pulled one on us. He may have pulled one on his crew. He'll duck down into pit lane. I think he may not. Yes, he will. He will be on pit road. So big interesting thing there. We just caught him saying he's not going to pit. Ends up coming down pit road anyway. David Kriske, he's the one that he'll try to stretch it on one stop.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting to see if this is possible for these drivers now, but now it's going to get interesting. The track position game has been completely scrambled. You have guys like Matt DeBenedetto who are going to have to start in traffic. Ryan Ellis. Chase Cabry once again has to deal with a lot of traffic. It's going to be very telling to see who's going to come away with the checker flag once the pace car drops its way into the pit lane. Still, lights are on top of it, and we're going to see who can come away with the checker flag in about, I'd say, a 5-lap dash to the finish.
That's certainly what I'm thinking it's going to be. You'd imagine we see the lights go off of that Porsche pace car and send us into green at lap 21, so it'll be 5 laps that we would run. As they're gridded right now, it's David Kriske, Tanner Berryhill, our points leader coming in, is in second, Nick Olson third, Nick Payne fourth, Colin Fern in fifth, Bailey Curry in sixth, Joshua Altus in seventh, Matt DiBenedetto in eighth, Ryan Ellis ninth, and Chase Cabry rounds out the top 10. Again, timing and scoring doing us for a loop here. Just from being on a road course. So we'll continue. It'll be Noah Lewis in 11th, Cody Ware 12th, Brad Perez in 13th, Ford Martin 14th, Justin Schuler, who just came out of the pits, in 15th, Jared Overstreet 16th, Seth Eggert 17th, Matt Mills in 18th, Matt Lady in 19th, Stephen Ellis will round out the top 20. And again, we'll just have to cycle it through. We have a little bit of a further ways to go here. Lights still on the pace car. Believe we'll get the 1 to go signal this time by, but what a call, what a position now because of that caution flag for David Kriske to try to make something happen here at the front of the field. Hasn't been a name we've talked about all afternoon. He started 19th, and he'll be running in the top spot. Berryhill started 7th. He's up to 2nd, and of course Nick Olson started 8th. Pulled one on us earlier to get the track position, but now he's found himself in a good spot once again. He's up into position number 3.
Yeah, the Roush Racing crew member, Roush Fenway Racing employee, I should rather say, as part of their simulation engineers and pit stop performance engineer program. It's going to be interesting to see if he's going to be able to make it. We got the response from Schuler as well on his thought. Remember, he told us at first, this was to the fans as well, who were following along on the broadcast feed, that he was thinking about it. He said he would have been a half a lap short if he stayed out. So this is going to be curious to see if Kriske can hold on to the front position and make it on the fuel. Keep in mind as well, Blake, it takes a lot of talent to be fast in these machines at this racetrack, and we have seen so many good drivers fight up towards the front today. It takes a lot of talent to maintain the pace some drivers like DiBenedetto, Ellis, Cabry have shown tonight.
And we're certainly in for that, Justin. You think about, last week it was Eldora, it was Dirt Street Stocks, which, a lot of our media brethren who may not be as familiar with the sim can get their hands on and go out there and be up to speed relatively quickly. But these Lucas Oil off-road trucks, and of course moving things over to the Watkins Glen International, it's much more difficult for these guys that may not have the sim experience or the real-life racing experience, because let's be honest here, all these guys that have been running up in the top echelons of the field the whole time, pretty much all the top stars that you'd see running at any NASCAR Xfinity, NASCAR Cup Series race. So the real life experience certainly coming into play here. Knowing how to wheel these things in the sim is obviously important, but I just think knowing the track, having all those reps has come into play here, and skill has been much more of a factor here at Watkins Glen. So we'll stack them up single file. Kriske, Berryhill, Olson, Payne, and Fern is your top 5. We'll get them rolling here for 5 more laps around Watkins Glen International. Can Kriske hang on, or can somebody make their way forward? Quick green flag as the Porsche makes their way on the pit lane, and here comes Nick Olson, a run from 3rd. He's getting a nice shove from Payne. He's all the way up to Berryhill as they make contact going into 1.
Olson trying to take the lead as Berryhill and Kriske both slide off the racing surface. They drift in the grass as Nick Olson retakes the lead. He'll try and defend while they're side by side to the S's. Berryhill gives the door to Payne. All while the Roush Performance driver watches in the wings.
And Krisky got shoved out there by Tanner Berryhill, and now Krisky will be on the back bumper of Berryhill, but he has to hold off Curry looking low as well. Krisky throws the block. They're all single file, but are they all going to make it on the other side? Here comes the shove from Krisky to the back of the 17. They're all able to make it forward. Krisky might be going around here. Contact. Here comes Matt DiBenedetto into the top 5.
DiBenedetto wants to gain his track position back and quickly. He watches as Curry gives the door, this time on the left side of the driver to his left side, and Nick Payne. Payne still trying to hold on to good track position. DiBenedetto babies the throttle as they go into the second last corner, gives a shove. Huge shot to the back end. Berryhill slides off the circuit. Payne now defends the bottom side as Bailey Curry tries to stay side by side and feeds the door to DiBenedetto.
And now DiBenedetto going to be locked up here with the 22 as they lock against each other. Nick Payne and DiBenedetto lose that momentum down the front straightaway. Colin Fern will go to the outside, move him into position number 4. He'll bang doors with the 22, gets loose. 22, 21, 86. How did they make it through there? Big time contact. Berryhill now they're 2 by 2. This is the battle for 4th. Also double wide there for 2nd. Colin Fern is off the racetrack. Oh no, they might be headed for disaster. And DiBenedetto goes around in the S's. One car jumps the Armco barrier. Somehow this wreck is still moving forward and they made their way through.
What an unbelievable turn of events. They've lost themselves, though, 3 seconds to the top 2 of Olsen and Cabry. DiBenedetto finally gets clear, but now the focus turns up to the front. Olsen trying to lead, Cabry trying to retake the lead, and Bailey Curry watches if anything happens between the top 2. Heading towards the final 2 corners once more, Watkins Glen coming to 3 laps to go as Olsen defends the bottom.
And Olsen will defend the bottom, but if Cabry can hold on here in 6, he'll have the preferred line in 7. Cabry not able to make it work. Olsen will slide in front of him. Olsen will defend low. Cabry gets a nice shot in the back from Bailey Curry. It's a 3-wide battle for the top spot. Olsen now gonna have to go into defense mode as they're all jockeying for position right along the inside retaining wall. Curry gonna have the preferred line. They're 3 wide for the lead. Olsen, here comes the 18. Are they gonna make it out? Cabry looks to the bottom. He'll have the position. Olsen, they're 3 wide heading into the S's.
Olsen forced to back off. Make it side by side now for the lead. Cabry on the right side of the S's. Left side of the S's, Bailey Curry to the point for the first time tonight. Can he hold on now? It's been hot potato for the race lead all night. Curry now gets one of the largest leads in the past couple laps for any leader and doesn't give the toe to Cabry and Olsen as he dives it hard into the inner loop.
2.5 laps remaining, and oh, by the way, here comes Matt DiBenedetto as he'll use the entire grass to make a move on Nick Olsen. He'll clear Olsen up there for the number 3 spot. DiBenedetto as the leaders make contact. Here comes Cabry looking to the outside. Curry and them slow each other down. Here comes Guido. What move is he going to make? Here on the 18 of Cabry, he'll look to the outside. Bumper goes to the back of the 18. Move Cabry out of the way. DiBenedetto to 2nd.
DiBenedetto now has one goal in mind. Make the move on Bailey Curry. He's led him much of the night tonight. He drifts his way off the final corner once again. 2 laps to go at the flag stand. 2 laps from Watkins Glen International. DiBenedetto ducks his way to the right side into turn number 1. Hits the brakes hard. He locks him up. Slides into Curry. Curry keeps his foot in it. DiBenedetto drifts. And DiBenedetto forced to reset for the top of the S's.
And what a defensive move there by Curry, who was able to hang on. They're now sliding up through the S's. DiBenedetto looking for that momentum. He'll get that draft here as they work into the bus stop. And oh, here comes the momentum from DiBenedetto. Where does he look? Down to the inside. Curry and DiBenedetto as DiBenedetto hooks him in the grass. He'll now not have a nose under him. Is there a bumper played here? Perhaps. 53 goes in deep. Matt still looking to hang on it. Oh, by the way, here's Chase Cabry, who may not be too happy with the 21. 1.5 laps remaining here at Watkins Glen. Curry, DiBenedetto, and now Cabry looking for the lead.
DiBenedetto needs to close up 0.4 of a second in the matter of 1 1/3 laps. Can he do it is the question. Cabry trying to push him forward. Heading back into turn number 6. DiBenedetto going for the early break. DiBenedetto put just 6 seconds of fuel into the race car during the last competition. Yellow, will his fuel hold up? They'll get the white flag this time by.
White flag, one last trip around. It's Bailey Curry with an increasing lead as they'll cross the stripe downhill, give the momentum to Matt DiBenedetto as they'll need a turn 1. DiBenedetto sends it in hard. He'll slide up high, up and outside the groove. Small and smooth for Bailey Curry. Here comes Cabry to the inside for second.
Cabry moves himself up to second spot in the space station machine. Now, can he try and force Curry to make a mistake? Heading towards the back straight for one final time. Curry with his largest lead of the entire race. Closed in by 1/10. Cabry going to need to absolutely send it in the inner loop. Will he be able to close up enough time? Drifts his way on the left side, tires in the grass, closes 2-3 car lengths for the carousel.
And Cabry playing with danger there. Of course, all these results unofficial as they don't want these guys cutting the course, but Cabry taking no chances here at the end. Out of the carousel for the final time, give it one truck length advantage to one Bailey Curry, who just has 2 more corners to do it to try and hold off a Cabry and a charging DiBenedetto. Into 6 as they'll work it in. 18 gets a shot there from DiBenedetto. That may just well do it. DiBenedetto and Cabry will battle here as Matt won't lift into the final corner. Cabry's able to hang on, but out front it's going to be Bailey Curry who wins the second round of the Kickin' the Tires lower half dash at Watkins Glen International.
What a fantastic finish. What a way for Bailey Curry to come away with the victory. They had to fight hard, and it takes a lot of talent, mind you, to stay up at the front. We've seen how much these drivers need to fight. Bailey Curry is the man who is the king of the victors tonight, while the rest of the field, well, celebrates by crashing into one another in turn 1.
And what a race right there as Cabry brings it home second. Matt DiBenedetto will bring it home third. How about Colin Fern, who's able to hang on for 4th? Brad Perez, who, by the way, got full out, just spun there earlier on. He ends up rebounding all the way up to get a top 5. Tanner Berryhill, former points leader, that may change after this race. He brings it home in 6th. 7th will be Cody Ware, 8th Ford Martin, 9th is Nick Olson after holding a top spot there late, 10th is Nick Payne.
11th position tonight, Overstreet. Lewis came home in 12th position, Hawley in 13th, Eggert in 14th spot. Mills comes home in 15th, with Matthew Leite in P16. Shore comes home 17th. Ryan Ellis with a rough finish to the race in 18th. Herschel, the last driver in the lead lap, in 19th. And then David Kriske, we wondered if he could make it on fuel, Blake. He ran out of fuel coming to the bus stop in the final lap.
And you hate to see it right there. Kriske took the risk and he paid the price. He brings it home 20th. 21st, Stephen Ellis. 22nd, Justin Malillo. 23rd, and I have to give a shout out to him. May not make Ryan Ellis a fan of me, but Paul Sutton, best looking truck out in the field tonight with that Carolina Hurricanes truck. Unfortunately, though, he brings it home 2 laps down in 23rd. Joshua Altis brings it home 24th. Garrett Smithley, after having to leave to go practice for the eNASCAR iRacing Pro Invitational Series, will bring it home in 25th. And then Eric Howard in 26th will round out this field. So again, Justin, we didn't know what to expect, and I think everybody out there in Facebook land, all the strategy, all the fuel, all the controversy and contact, it was well worth it, and we got treated to one heck of a race.
One of the most exciting races I think I've ever called, and one of the more unique races too. What a way for these drivers to fight. And I've seen these types of machines on these types of circuits before where you usually don't see them too often. They usually put on shows like this all the time. If you try these wacky combinations such as this, the fun absolutely showed tonight for these drivers. Many competitors saying over the radio to one another they enjoyed what happened tonight at this racetrack.
And that's exactly right. Obviously, tempers can always flare. They can always become a part of what racing is, whether it's real or virtual. But again, most of these guys just out here for the fun of it. And that's why you get these wacky track and car combos out here. They just came out here for fun, and they certainly put on a good show, leaned on each other a little bit, all in the name of putting on a good show for you out there, the fans on STN. So, again, just congratulations to all these guys. Really swell job. It seems like, though, Justin, I'm looking over here on the board. We talked about last week. This is drivers versus media. Well, I think if you look over at round two, you gotta give round two to the drivers in resounding fashion.
Yeah, absolutely a fantastic race for the drivers tonight. A majority of the top 7 came home in drivers. But give a shout out for guys like Ford Martin, who came home in 8th position tonight, quietly but surely fought around the racetrack tonight. I think a lot of competitors absolutely had a blast, whether it was real-world race car drivers or members of crews or real-world media members as well. A fun event to be a part of, to say the very least. But I don't think we can forget about the sponsors who helped bring us this type of event tonight, Blake.
No, we certainly can. Of course, have to thank Kickin the Tires, the leadoff sponsor here, if you will, for this series that'll be on board with us. Universal Coin for jumping on board as well. Everybody out there, the drivers, the media, for making this all possible. Again, with everything going on, we just want to bring you the best shows possible, and we just got to appreciate all these guys coming out and allowing us to do what we love, and obviously they're doing what they love as well. So unfortunately, it doesn't look like we're going to be able to get interviews up here with the drivers, as there's been a little bit of error trying to get connections put together here. But nevertheless, I don't think we have to do too much guessing, Justin. Bailey Curry is going to be one happy camper.
Absolutely coming away with a victory, and puts him in a good points paying position by the end of the night. Remember, first thing, max points goes to if you're able to get a lead lap, as well as the most lead laps, as well as the victory. 50 points plus 51 if you include the lead lap point. Going to be a great points haul for him tonight in that battle for a championship and for that top prize.
It certainly will. So with that, that's going to do it with us here for the second round of the Kickin the Tires lower half dash from Watkins Glen International. Of course, we'll be coming back to you next week. Where and in what car? Well, that's yet to be decided. Of course, these guys, they put a lot of time and effort into deciding what they want to run. Don't want these guys practicing for a whole week. And you know what? The surprise, as we've seen the last 2 weeks, is well worth the wait on what our official schedule is going to be. So for Zach Johnson, for Justin Prince, I'm Blake McCandless saying so long from Watkins Glen, where we once again bid a congratulations to our race winner tonight, Bailey Curry. He takes down the victory here at WGI. Good night, everybody.